Cristina L. Baldeong. Today, I will discuss the topic 1 of the life and works of Rizal, where the topic 1 is about the Republic Act 1425, known as Rizal's Law. First is, what is Rizal's Law? This law is mandated to educational institutions in the Philippines to offer courses about Jose Rizal. Both public and private schools, colleges, and university is mandated to conduct or to teach about Jose Rizal or magkaroon ng subject na patungkol kay Jose Rizal. Particularly or especially the two novels is The Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Sino-sino naman yung mga nag-enactment or nag-support na mapasa bilang law yung kay Rizal? Unang-una ay si Senator Claro M. Recto na naniniwala that Rizal spreads tremendous nationalism by exposing young minds to the struggles of the Filipinos during the Spanish rule, thereby the Philippine independence and giving Filipinos independence. And another question is, sino-sino yung mga taong nag-support or sino-sino yung mga taong hindi nag-suporta or strongly oppose the implementations of the Rizal's Law? Meron 3 senators na nag-oppose na nanguna na umupose sa law ito na sina Senator Francisco Rodrigo na dating former Catholic Action President and si Senator Decoroso Rosales who was the brother of Julio Rosales na an archbishop. So sino-sino yung mga taong bakit nila inopose yung sa why not bakit yung hindi nag-agree yung Catholic Church? One of the reasons nila is yung paniniwala ng simbahan sa Rizal's Law ay nag-violate or lumabag sa freedom of conscience and religions. And why is Rizal's course is mandated in all colleges and universities? Dahil importante na maunawaan ng kabataan kung ano yung mga nangyari noong panahon ni Rizal. To give the students and the future generations an ample background and for them to understand about how Rizal has covered his life for our country. Kung paano niya inibuhis yung kanyang buhay para sa bansang Pilipinas. And that's all my presentations about the Rizal's Law or the Republic Act 1425 known as the Rizal's Law.
Good day everyone, I am Liza Colores and I will assign the topic to report the Module 1, which is the Republic Act 1425 and also known as Rizal Law. 1425 Rizal Law. It is an act to include in the curricula of all public and private schools, colleges, and universities courses on the life, works, and writings of Jose Rizal, particularly his novels Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. It is authorizing the printing and distribution thereof and for other purposes. First and foremost, it is mandated by law, and secondly, because of the lessons contained within the course itself, it is promote the nationalism of the Filipino people, especially the youth, to eradicate the lives to deal freedom and nationalism for which our heroes lived and died. The Filipino youth gives advice on how to deal with contemporary issues and it allows us to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves as a Filipinos. It is important to study Rizal's life and his writings because we acknowledge the heroism that he did for our country. Um, the teaching of Jose Rizal's lives, works, and writings is mandated by the Republic Act 1425, otherwise known as the Rizal Law. Um, Senator Jose P. Laurel, the person who sponsored the law, said that since Rizal was founder of the Philippine nationalism and has contributed much to the current standing of the nation, it is only the right that the youth as well as the people in the country know about the and learn to embed the great ideals for which he died.
To present the topic 2, 19th century Philippines as Rizal's context. The 19th century era of the Philippines was actually full of changes and challenges. This is the period of major changes that happened in the Philippines, which affects every Filipinos in its society. To start, the struggle of nationalism of the Filipinos are seen under the political context where Spaniards split among the intellectuals into the irreconcilable, namely the conservatives and liberals. In addition, the ones who ruled the colonial government were the friars, and the rules that they were doing was called friarocracy. In terms of the economic context during the 19th century, Spaniards developed labor systems such as encomienda to hacienda, galleon trade, and indulto de comercio, which became the strategy of the Spaniards to officially rule out the economy of the Philippines. Therefore, the 19th century of the Philippines was filled of changes and turning points in our history and identity as Filipinos.
19th century was called the Age of Enlightenment, but for the Filipinos, it is one of the darkest part of our past. Spaniards ruled the Philippines and oppressed Filipinos for a long time. We've been under extreme privation and sufferings. There's injustice, social and racial discrimination, abusive economic system, cruel way of church, and government corruption. We can't even fight for our rights because we have no room in court. Can't even vocalize opinions because we will be punished when we talk. They see Filipinos, especially those who are in the bottom of their so-called social hierarchies, slaves and fools, no rights to own land, no right to speak, and no rights for education. Large amount of taxes are being collected and reforms promised to the Filipinos people isn't met. Officials who are supposed to be there to maintain peace and order abuse their powers and brought violence to the people. Friars who are supposed to threaten faith in religion and God are greedy and vicious individuals. Justice that's supposed to be for everyone is served only to those who are in the upper class of social hierarchy. Law that's supposed to cover and follow by all people of the state can be bought by power and money. That's how cruel the Spanish government is during the 19th century. That's how helpless Filipino people is during their reign. 19th century is the sickening face of our colorful past. The past we should don't bury and forget, because although it's painful to recall these times, it is also the part of the history that reminds us how Rizal, other propagandists and heroes fought hard to get back our freedom, to get back our right as Filipino people, to get back our peace, and to get back the land that is rightful ours. That is the time where true sense of nationalism arise. 19th century is the time that Rizal showed us that knowledge and mind is one great weapon, that if properly used the pen is really mightier than any sword in the world.
A pleasant morning to everyone. I am Mark Joseph Iherona from BEd 2A. And for this narrative video, I will be presenting the Module 3 or Week 3. Week 3. Rizal's Life. Family, Childhood, and Early Education. The Rizal family was known to be the well-off family in Calamba, Laguna. And they were considered as one of the biggest families in those times. They live a life of comfort and prosperity, then consider that his family belonged to the Principalia class of the ruling elite of their town. Jose Rizal came from a 13-member family consisted of his father Don Francisco Mercado II and his mother Teodora Alonso Rialonda. Jose Rizal had 9 sisters and 1 brother. Saturnina Rizal was the eldest child among the siblings, followed by Panciano, Narcisa, Olympia, Lucia, Maria, Jose, Concepcion, Josefa. The youngest was Soledad. Rizal came from a mixture of races. His paternal antecedent was Domingo Lamco, a full-blooded Chinese. He married a wealthy Chinese mestiza, Inés de la Rosa. Domingo Lamco adopted the surname Mercado, which means market, in keeping the gubernatorial decree of Narcisco Claveria on the use of Spanish surnames. From the Parian in Manila, the couple moved in Binyan, Laguna and became tenants in Dominican hacienda. Rizal's father is one of the 14 children of Juan Mercado. Paternal grandfather and his grandmother was Cirila Alejandrino, a Chinese-Filipino mestiza. Juan Mercado became a gobernadorcillo of Binyan, Laguna. Rizal's maternal great-grandfather was Manuel de Quintos, a Chinese mestizo from Lingayen, Pangasinan. Manuel married Regina Ursua with a Japanese ancestry to whom they bore the grandmother of Rizal, Brigida, who married Lorenzo Alberto Alonso, is one of their.
Hello, good day everyone. I am Ronlyn Alcalayo, and for today's video I will be discussing the Module 3, which is all about the Rizal's life, family, childhood, and early education. As a student, we will learn to value our education. Rizal always considered education as a medicine or something that could cure the problems of colonial Philippines. He believed in education that is free from a political and religious control. He asserted that reform cannot be achieved if there is no suitable education, a liberal one available to Filipinos. The early education of Rizal reminded him about a jar that contains the odor of the body that it first held. The significance from this insight of Rizal has shown the importance of education that must start at the early age. At home provided him a habit to listen, read, and learn by the education given by his mother that made him understand the basic knowledge of artistic appreciation about human compassion and love of nature. The social structure of Rizal's family had provided him the basic comfort of life when he had a nanny and nurse at home. He appreciated in the way they cared him. Rizal described his father as a model of fathers, while Rizal showed his love with his mother, Teodora Alonso y Quintos, as he described, "My coming out in his veil of tears would have cost my mother her life, had she not vowed to the Virgin of Antipolo to take me to her sanctuary by way of pilgrimage." Rizal inherited his genius from his mother. Doña Teodora Alonso Rialonda provided all the support in intellectual endeavor and polishing the true value of education of Rizal. She made him the best gladiator in the arena of human intellectual struggle of his time.
Good day everyone. I am Mikaro and I am reporting week 4, which it is all about the Rizal highest education and life abroad. So, Rizal took first the entrance examination at the Colegio de San Juan de Letran. His brother Pasiano accompanied him when he took the exam. He finished with a degree of Bachelor in Arts with the highest academic honors. Looking at Rizal's scholastic records, it is evident that he excelled in his academic studies during the entire time that he was studying at Ateneo. Like racial pride, monastic discipline, and seclusion, a boarding school life were the factors that gave Rizal the motivation to outshine his classmate. Note that in doing so, he wanted to prove to his Spanish classmate that a Filipino student can compete and beat them academically. So, Rizal did not waste any time to learn new things during his time. Rizal has many wrote literature and different university, such as My First Inspiration and Memory of My Town, To the Filipino Youth, and the last he wrote, To the Filipino in Life Abroad. In Life Abroad, Rizal a personal reason as well as altruistic reason for his decision to study abroad. He wanted to become an eye specialist in order to cure his mother from an eye ailment. So, he wanted to study the cultures, laws, and governments of European countries in order to help his countrymen. The important works of Rizal during his life abroad is Rizal's famous novel title is Noli Me Tangere, which is Touch Me Not, driven by his undying love for his country. Rizal wrote the novel to expose the ills of Philippine society during the Spanish colonial era. And that's all. Thank you.
Big San Jose, Rizal's first teacher was his mother, who had taught him how to read and pray and who had encouraged him to write poetry. Later, private tutors taught that young Rizal Spanish and Latin before he was sent to a private school in Binyan. When he was 11 years old, Rizal entered the Ateneo Municipal in Manila. He earned excellent marks in subjects like philosophy, physics, chemistry, and natural history. At this school, he read novels, wrote prize-winning poetry, and even melodrama, and practices drawing, painting, and clay modeling, all of which remained lifelong interest for him. Rizal eventually earned a land surveyor's and assessor's degrees from the Ateneos Municipal while taking up philosophy and letters at the University of Santo Tomas. Upon learning that his mother was going blind, Rizal opted to study ophthalmology at UST Faculty of Medicine and Surgery. However, he was not able to complete the course because he became politically isolated by adversaries among the faculty and clergy who demanded that he assimilate to their system. Without the knowledge of his parents, Rizal traveled to Europe in May 1882. According to his biographer, Austin Ryan, Rizal, in order to obtain a better education, had to leave his country instantly, like a fugitive from justice, and his family to save themselves from persecution. Professed ignorance of his plans and movement, his name was entered into Santo Tomas of the opening of the new term. With the fees paid, and Pasiano had gone to Manila pretending to be looking for his brother who he had assisted out of the country. Rizal earned licentiate in medicine at the Universidad Central de Madrid, where he also took courses in philosophy and literature. It was in Madrid that he convinced of writing Noli Me Tangere. He also attended the University of Paris in 1887, completed his eyes specialization course at the University of Heidelberg, It was also in the year that Rizal novels published in Berlin. Rizal is said to have the ability to master various skills, subjects, and language. Our national hero was also a doctor, a farmer, naturalist. He discovered the Draco Rizali, a small lizard, Apogania rizali, or a beetle, and the Rhacopyrus rizali, a frog. Writer, a visual artist, an athlete, martial arts, fencing, and pistol shooting. Scientist. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Irami Altaris Nicole together with Felicity Cruz and Lara Presentation, and we will narrate the week 5, 7, and 8, which is Exile, Trial, and Execution of Rizal in the Pitan. So, Rizal exile in the Pitan started when Rizal decided to go back here in the Philippines during June 26, 1892. So, nang makabalik si Rizal sa Pilipinas, ay umanis siya ng kasikatan, so he became very sensational. So, bakit nga ba naging sikat si Dr. Jose Rizal? So, we all know that Rizal is one of Ilustrado. Siya ay matalino, maraming sinalihang organisasyon, at dahil sa kanyang novels na No Limitang Here, na umabot na ang ingay hindi lang sa mga Pilipino at maging sa mga Kastila. So, na makauwi si Dr. Jose Rizal dito sa Pilipinas, mainit na ang mga mata sa kanya ng mga Kastila. So, naghahanap lamang sila ng tamang tiyempo para dakpin o ipakulong si Dr. Jose Rizal. So, paano nga ba nakapasok ang No Limitang Here sa Pilipinas? So, according to historian, inismuggle na nagngangalang Basa ang No Limitang Here para makapasok ito sa Pilipinas at hindi makita ng mga Espanyol. So, on July 3, 1892, so according to Rizal plan, he established a organization which La Liga Filipina, which the organization is to reform para sa mga Pilipinas, pero hindi ito produkto ng revolusyon. So, nangyari ang pagtatayo niya ng La Liga Filipina sa bahay ni Don Dotero Ongcuanco. Makalipas ang 4 na araw ng pagtatayo niya ng organisasyon na La Liga Filipina, dinakip siya ng mga Kastila sa kadahilanan. Una, pagpapublish ng anti-friars and anti-Catholic book which is No Limitang Here. Pangalawa, pagkakaroon ng public book which entitled Public Friars, na kung saan ito ay fictional story na patungkol sa mga Kastilang praile na nangungurap sa mga mahihirap na Pilipino. And to answer the question, why did Rizal send in the Pitan, not other places? So, in the Pitan, in that time, was remote and unproductive community. So, parang pinapahirapan si Dr. Jose Rizal dahil sa kanyang mga ginawa. At ang Dapitan ay kilala para sa GEC9 mission, which is para mag-retract siya ng kanyang mga sinabi at sa kanyang mga novels na No Limitang Here and Filibusterismo. Gusto ng mga Kastila na mag-retract si Rizal o bawiin ang lahat ng sinabi niya patungkol sa kanyang novels na No Limitang Here at El Filibusterismo. Pangalawa, dahil walang komunikasyon sa Dapitan, kaya gusto ng mga Kastila na hindi makakommunicate si Rizal sa mga kaibigan niya sa mga Pilipino or yung mga Ilustrados na kagaya niya, maging sa mga kaibigan niya sa iba't ibang bansa, para hindi malaman ng mga kaibigan niya kung ano nga ba ang tunay na nangyayari sa Pilipinas, at para hindi si Dr. Jose Rizal maging hadlang sa mga plano ng mga Kastila dito sa ating Pilipinas.
Hello everyone, and for the continuation of the topic for week 5, 6, and 7, now we talked about Rizal's contribution and activities in Dapitan. Due to his continuous fight against the Spanish government and friars, Rizal was thrown to Dapitan. He made his life in Dapitan worthwhile by stretching a hand to help his fellow Filipinos, thereby executing his abilities to teach the children, to cure the sick, and to manage a small farm. So number 1, he practiced medicine. He finally operated his mother's eye, and he actually helped a lot people in terms of researching about the local medicine. Another thing is he established his school. This is very prominent and very significant. Results really believe that education is the way for us to actually progress and pure ignorance. Not tuition fee but more on practical application and practical work. And then he conducted his classes under a Talisay tree. It shows us that learning can take place or can happen anywhere. So another, he equipped the town with its lighting system. This lighting system consisted of coconut oil lamps placed in the dark street of the Pitan. He also contributed to the beautification of the town, especially for community projects like the constructing the town first water system. Then he drained the marshes to rid of malaria that infested the Pitan. Thank you.
The trial of Rizal was an eloquent proof of Spanish injustice and misrule. Rizal, a civilian, was tried by a military court composed an alliance military officers. His case was prejudiced. He was considered guilty before the actual trial. The military court met not to judge him, but to accuse and condemn him. It accepted all charges and testimonies against Rizal, and ignored all arguments and proofs in his favor. Rizal was not given the right which any accused is entitled to have in real court of justice, to face the witnesses against him in open court. Rizal was accused of 3 crimes. First, rebellion. Second, sedition. Third is illegal association. According to the Spanish law, the penalty for rebellion and sedition was from life imprisonment to death, and the penalty for organizing an illegal association was correctional imprisonment and a fine of 325 to 3,250 pesetas. Rizal's defense, which he wrote in his prison cell, he further proved his innocence by 12 points. First, he could not be guilty of rebellion, for he advised Dr. Peyo Valenzuela in the Pitan not to rise in revolution. Second, he did not correspond with the radical revolutionary elements. Third, the revolutionists used his name without his knowledge. If he were guilty, he could have escaped in Singapore. Fourth, if he had a hand in the revolution, he could have escaped in a Moro Venta and would not build a home, a hospital, and brought lands in the Pitan. Fifth, if he were the chief of the revolution, why was not consulted by the revolutionists? Sixth, it was true he wrote the bylaws of the Liga Filipina, but he is only a civic association, not a revolutionary society. Seventh, the Liga Filipina did not live long, for after the first meeting, he was banished to the Pitan and it died out. Eighth, if the Liga was recognized 9 months later, he did not know about it. 9. The Liga did not serve the purpose of the revolutionists, otherwise, they would not have supplanted it with the Katipunan. 10. If it were true that there were some better comments, otherwise, they would not have supplanted it with the Katipunan. 11. His life in the Pitan had been exemplary as the politic military commanders and missionary priests could test. 12. It was not true that the revolution was inspired by his one speech at the house of Dorotillo Onjanco, as a league by witness whom he would like to confront. His friend knew his opposition to armed rebellion. Why did the Katipunan send an emissary to the Pitan whom was unknown to him? Because those who knew him were aware that he would never sanction any violent movement. But the military court remained indifferent to the pleas of Rizal. After a short deliberation, he was sentenced to be shot in musketry until death at 7 o'clock in the morning of December 30, 1896 at Bagong Bayan. The decision was submitted to Governor Polavea, who immediately sought the opinion of Nicolas de la Peña, the latter found the verdict just and final. 2 days later, the Governor General signed the court's decision and ordered Rizal's execution.
Hello everyone, I am Hannah Joy Pilarta. I'll be discussing Module 9, which is the annotation of Antonio Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. So, what is the reason why Morga wrote the Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas? Morga wrote the Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas so he could chronicle the deeds achieved by our Spaniard, the discovery, the conquest, the conversation of the Philippine island, as well as the various fortune that have from time to time in the Great Kingdom and among the pagan people surrounding the island. Number 2, why Morga chosen by Rizal? There are 4 reasons. 1. The writing of Morga was more objective. It was based on true observation. Number 2, he was more sympathetic. Morga writing was considered more credible because it was based on fact, not fantasy or a tale. Number 3, he was an actor. He was there and served as an eyewitness in the event in the Philippines. And last, number 4, he served as an only credible chronicle. Number 3, if you would ask, what is the purpose of writing? Why did Rizal annotate? It is because Rizal want to awaken the consciousness of Filipino people. He want to correct what has been distorted because they destroy the credibility. And last reason, it is to prove that Filipinos are civilized and advanced even before the coming of Spaniard.